welcome to this special episode of number 169 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and this is a special episode where we're going to be talking to Dan Keldsen from Plexicam. How are you, Dan?
Great, Dave. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Thanks for being on the show. I
Sure.
found out about you guys, and I was pretty excited to see with it because I do a lot of video conferencing with my iPhone, and I'm sure I'm not alone that does that. So I wanted to find a little bit more about Plexicam, and then just kind of see what it could do for all the viewers and listeners out there. So why don't you start off, just tell us a little bit about Plexicam, how it started, and what it's all about.
Sure. Yeah. So an ancient tribe of elves. No, just kidding. This is the danger of doing late night interviews, by the way.
It's okay. We're having fun here.
I figure that people in the Apple universe have a greater sense of humor than most. So I'm assuming it's okay. So Plexicam is one of many ventures that I've done with my business partner, Tom Kolopoulos, who I've known and worked with off and on since 1994. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I look young enough that seems impossible. So if that's true, fantastic.
Yes.
So Plexicam is, it's really, so Tom is a tinker. He's an inventor. His father actually created an ATM machine once upon a time, one of the first ones, and he did hardware, like high-end audio hardware, Lexicon and some other stuff. So he grew up in an entrepreneurial family and a engineer father, and apparently that rubbed off. My dad was an organic chemistry professor, so that didn't really do much of anything for me.
Yeah.
But Tom is he's a tinker. Plus, he's I didn't realize when I first started working with him in 1994 just how good of a keynote speaker he was, and a speaker in general. And he's only gotten better because he continuously wants to tweak and improve things. So what is now Plexicam actually started out in a very rough and totally ugly version that was about 12 years ago, give or take. And at some point, we're going to release a video that shows sort of the more recent evolution from taking that idea and running with it, which is by itself kind of hilarious to see where we started and where we ended up. Thank God we ended up where we were at.
Yeah.
But it's really, I typically call it, it's an untripod. It's an unteleprompter for people that know what a teleprompter is. And the funny thing about this product is it's essentially invisible because it's clear acrylic and it's plexiglass, right? So it's very hard to take product shots of it. And if you show somebody just a picture of the product, they have nothing to tie it to because there's nothing else that does what it does that looks anything like it. It's a tripod, but it's upside down. One
of the pieces, and how do you? Oh, what is this? A piece of plexiglass? Oh no, it's really an important extension to my Plexicam Pro Plus. So
yes, yeah. It's tough. I mean, so I have a fancy camera here. It's a Sony mirrorless camera, and the autofocus can't even pick it up for the most part unless I find just the right place. There we go. So if you're watching the video, this is a Logitech Brio that I'm holding on a Plexicam Pro with a special Wave shelf kit, which is meant for Logitech Brio owners. But it's funny that even autofocus cameras don't want to see this product. But it's the whole point is that all of us, like the entire world, that suffered through an endless parade of Zoom calls, among others.
I've been there.
It's yeah, exactly. We're doing it now.
Yes.
This is better than average, just so you know.
Yeah.
But, the common look is you get to see lots of people's nostrils or their neck or their forehead or the side of their face or, there's just, it's kind of tragically bad. It'd be hilariously bad, except it's more leaning on the tragically bad, I think.
Yeah.
So this is really meant to make it so that you can. So both Tom and I are fairly frugal people. We like quality. We like things that are not purpose built because then it's very, once your need shifts off that, then you have to buy something else. And we'd rather that the money that we're spending on things will last on, something that's going to be around for a while. So Plexicam, it doesn't sit on your desk, so it doesn't take up more space. so it doesn't block your screen like a tripod would, because a tripod, I haven't seen any crystal clear transparent tripods yet. Wow. We're the only thing, anything like that. And I don't think it would work due to the materials. But we took like, what's the problem? People want eye contact. They want that connection that we're all starving for because we've been locked in our own homes, right? And this is a way to do it that doesn't break the bank. We're aiming for a fairly elegant, we feel, solution. We're both longtime Apple guys. Tom actually hired me as the first. They placed a classified ad, if you remember what that is. Yeah. And I answered that back in the day. It was looking for a Mac expert. And I thought, well, I've never met anybody else who knows more about Macs than I do. So, all right, I'll give that a shot. So I've been a long time Apple guy, Apple II Plus before that, Apple IIe, all that. Yeah. And, so we like that kind of aesthetic. And we're trying for a product that sort of meets that sort of minimalism sort of design that also feels sort of sexy. And most importantly to us, it should disappear. You should effectively not see it, and you should go about your day trying to make use of it. And
I can kind of give you a testimonial because I've had it for almost a week now. And okay. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed already that I'm looking, as you see as well, I'm looking straight at the camera. And again, I'm using an iPhone. And I've talked about this on the show before. The Reincubate Camo, the Camo Studio is an amazing product that I have a lifetime subscription to. That well worth the investment for that. And iPhones, if any other webcams out there, I think makes probably one of the most amazing webcams out there. I mean, luckily, I guess I have the luxury. I have a second iPhone that I'm using, so I don't tie up my primary iPhone. But I know not a lot of people have that option unless they hang on to one of their old ones when they upgrade to their new ones. Since we just have experienced an upgrade coming here with the iPhone 13, so I know, it's lucky 13. Yeah, lucky 13. So I'm impressed. I like how it's forcing me to stay focused on the camera and not wander, keeping my notes in one place. And when you're doing, like you said, when you're doing these Zoom calls or Skype or any other way you're doing meetings these days, it's hard to keep straight on focus, and it makes you look good too. So, and the plastic, I said, the quality of your product is just amazing because I've never seen a piece of plexiglass, I guess we call it, is as clear as it is going through the screen. It's not inhibiting anything on that part of the screen. I mean, luckily I have a 31-inch monitor, so I have a little bit of a good size of real estate that I can move things around. But and people can't expect that the camera is not going to block that part of the screen. But I think it's a great concept. Right.
Yeah, if we could make cameras invisible, then I'd be a billionaire. But we haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah. So yeah, it does have. I think an amazing way it sets on the screen, and it's clear, and it really doesn't cause a lot of. It doesn't inhibit my view at all. It's great. Yeah, so it's funny because we do get commentary. It's just a piece of plastic. Well, yeah. There's different qualities of plastic, and this is the highest grade acrylic that we could find. It's remarkably see-through. I typically use a black background for my desktop because among other things, I have some softbox lights up here, and any other light source that's coming at me, I want to control. So I usually try to shut down any nice bright white documents that might otherwise be up. And any notes that I have has a black background. On the Mac, I use the Notes app that comes with the Mac and flip it so the background is black and the text is white and big so I can see it, since I'm now 51 and my eyes are not what they used to be. Yeah, me too.
But it's and I'm using a big camera. It's a Sony mirrorless, which is a little bigger all around compared to like any of the Max series of iPhones. So it takes up a fair amount of space, but I have a 32-inch screen. So what that takes up for me is far less inconvenient, especially from my setup, than if I had to have a tripod, which would do the orientation of my room. Would have to put a big tripod right in front of my desk here, and that would eat up a ton of space and make it impossible for me to get anywhere on that side of the room, given what I have for my desk. So we're really trying, especially, I mean, we didn't mean to launch this during the pandemic, but Tom picked it back up as an idea the beginning of December 2019, before the pandemic was worldwide news and before lockdowns happened and all that. So, timing is funny. It worked out in this case for us, but, not everybody has, thankfully I have this space that we remodeled like 5 years ago, but if I didn't, I wouldn't have the space to really do this kind of thing in the way that I want to.
Sure.
Or with our other business, we run virtual events as a service for other companies. So we have to be monitoring big events and lots of different systems that are integrated into each other. And I have 3 screens and a 60-inch screen if I really need it to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
Where would I have put that if I didn't have this space?
Right. Because I mean,
not in an office.
I mean, the way I had it set up before, I had one of those accordion, like a tripod accordion thing with and the camera's mounted on there. So I'm bringing it up to the right of my screen, and there are spots where it blocks by part of my screen. I'm going like this to look for it. And so as soon as I switched to this, wow, it just saved me some great space here. And again, the iPhone's a little bit bigger than like a Logitech camera. You guys recommend the Brio, but there are a lot of people who want to use their DSLRs too. So let's kind of go through the product line and then tell everybody about what the choices are. You start with a laptop model, and let's kind of just go through each one.
Yeah, so the Plexicam Mini is meant for laptops typically. So if you have, it's interesting how screen size. We used to talk about diagonal size as the measure that we would use for everything, but now we have wide and ultra wide, and there's probably some other level of ultra wide even beyond that I don't even know the name of. So the diagonal means a certain amount to us, but really it's the height of the top of your whatever screen you're going to be using, your laptop screen or something else, down to your keyboard or whatever the base is of your screen. And the Mini is 6 inches. So that's if you have like a MacBook Pro 15 inch or smaller, the Mini is probably the best choice for you. Anything that's bigger than that, you probably want the Pro. It's our best-selling item because it gives you another 3 inches, which, like for my 32-inch screen here, I could get about halfway down the screen, and in most cases, that's plenty of reach. Unless you have, we have clients that have 49-inch screens, which I'm terribly jealous of. That's a different story.
Me too.
Some incredible stuff out there. Actually, so funny story. So last week, we had a client who had bought from us back in February. So that was pretty early on. We didn't start selling until December of last year.
Oh, okay.
And she's on TikTok. She's a commercial real estate agent, and she posts business, TikTok videos. And she posted, people had asked her how she handles all the paperwork, because there's tons of paperwork still in real estate. I haven't bought a house or anything in quite a while, but it's still bad for paperwork for those of you who haven't done that. And so she did an over-the-shoulder view of her setup, and she has a 49-inch, 43 or 49-inch, whatever, a very big screen. And then right in the middle, pretty much invisible, is a Plexicam. She happened to mention it, how much she loved it, and she uses a Brio. And that video blew up. It's had over 80,000 views.
Wow.
And we got a ton of orders from it. So I like the week before that, I had actually deleted TikTok from my phone because it's so dangerous. Because you just
you could be sitting there for
10
hours
later. Yeah, exactly. So I had to reinstall the app to thank her. But it's funny how those things work out. So the Mini is the same. It's kind of the core of all these is the vertical hanger. I'll actually. I have a Stream Deck and I'm having problems with it lately, so it's goes to sleep on me.
Joining the clubs here with the technical problems.
yeah, it's going around. So this is the vertical hanger. This is the common look and feel for all of our options. The top piece is what hooks over on top of the monitor, and then you attach either a flat shelf, which is the normal situation, or in this case, it's the wave shelf kit that we meant specifically for Brios. So this 9-inch height of the Pro is the same as the Pro Plus. The Pro Plus just includes another extension. Well, it can include another extension, and it definitely includes a second shelf that people usually use for an LED light or whatever you like. You could
Right.
If you're paranoid, by the way, technical difficulties do happen. So if you're worried about your primary camera failing, mounting a second one slightly higher that you could just switch to, not a bad idea. I've done that myself. But you know, you can mount microphones on it. You can do just about anything. Some people just use it as a way to put like a mini physical timer in case they want to count down on, you know, a presentation or something. The Plexicam.
In my case, I did that's the C925 Logitech I'm showing on camera here.
Oh yeah.
This is the backup just in case something happens.
Okay.
So I did get the Pro Plus to have this along with the mounting for the iPhone,
the smartphone.
So,
yeah. How do you like that Logitech?
It's not bad. Not a bad camera. Again,
okay.
I switched back to this, and it's night and day. It really is. I know Logitech's coming out with some more cameras, but it's really hard to beat. Having an iPhone as a camera, as a webcam.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So the sort of the pièce de résistance is the Plexicam Max, which is. That one was built mainly to scratch my own itch, because as soon as you start getting fancier cameras, you want to keep using fancier cameras, right? So I have a $1,000 camera, and I did not want to go back to having to use it on a tripod because I like not having all that stuff in the way. So we came up with a design that's much more industrial. It tightens with screws instead of just the friction sleeve, which is plastic on plastic. If you put enough weight, it's going to slide apart, which we don't want. And I certainly didn't want to drop my camera on the floor because that would be bad. Yeah, and I was doing that. So with this other piece, so you got to be careful. Yeah. I mean, it's meant to be. It's funny because it's you want it to be tight enough that it grips, but not so tight that it's impossible to move. Right. Which is not something that I was expecting to ever know in my life. But you never know what life is going to throw at you. Yeah. The Max. So this might be interesting to your audience. So we're at the point where, the number of orders that we get is increasing all the time, but we still get email alerts and my phone bings, when we get a new alert. And July, I think it was, I saw, Guy Kawasaki just ordered a Plexicam Max. I was like, wow, oh my God, it's Guy Kawasaki. Yeah. So, and as it turns out, he uses a 27-inch iMac like I have on the side here. Mm-hmm. He uses the same camera, which is a Sony a6100. And so, and he ordered the Max, which is the right choice for that kind of camera. Mm-hmm. With the iMac, it's a great design from a user standpoint, but the tiltability of the screen on an iMac is very, like you could sneeze on it and tilt it, right? So it very easily moves, which is not like a lot of monitors. Normally, you would think that's a good thing. For us, if you did want to hang a heavier camera using the Plexicam Max on an iMac, it will probably tilt because it's front heavy, and the spring that's in there doesn't know how to counterbalance it, because why would it? Right. So we actually have the Plexicam Wedge, which I use, Guy uses. We started selling it commercially now. Mm-hmm. And that actually sort of locks, you put it into, how there's the stand where the iMac has sort of an elbow in it. So you put a wedge in there, which is it's essentially a cut down version of the Plexicam Max for your camera. Mm-hmm. You lock it into position, and that shelf prevents it from tilting forward. Your problem is solved now. It's there's a picture on the site, but it's kind of funny that so when Guy ordered the Max, then we had a little discussion about what camera do you have, so I can make sure it's the right place. And he was vacationing in Hawaii, but he put his normal address in California, so we diverted the package. Long story short, he's very happy, and he's actually extended it. He uses the Parrot teleprompter kit, you might be familiar with. So it screws onto the lens, and you put an iPhone or a smartphone in as your which reflects up the text that you need or whatever it is. So he has a Plexicam Max with a Sony a6100 with a Parrot teleprompter kit on the front, which seems like a lot to me to attach, but he loves it and he talks about it all the time. So What do I know?
Yeah, hey, if he's talking about it, that's huge. So I was a little tempted when I bought the Pro Plus, that I was kind of maybe leaning towards the Max, only just because I'm one who always likes to have the real strong device. I mean, this one's working okay, but it does scare me a little bit that it moves a little bit. I mean, for the most part, it's fine. I mean, when I need to, I have a screen next to me here. I have a separate computer here with the 27-inch. So when I'm not using the camera, I just move it over to the other monitor when I'm looking at this one. So at least it's easy to move into position. But that Max looks really interesting. And I think you're probably, even if someone doesn't have a DSLR of some sort, I mean, obviously we're talking about the smaller size DSLRs, not those big ones with the big lenses and all that. There's no way it's going to be handling that kind of weight. But even the mirrorless cameras are lighter weight that they would work out. But I was tempted, but you know, with the difference in the cost, I just didn't think I could justify it just with what I'm going to be using it for. So yeah. I went with the Pro Plus.
Yeah. I think so it is interesting because we designed it. You know, we can't test every monitor and every camera. Right. You know, there's a million variables, which is really annoying when we're trying to. Yeah. You know, like a measure that nobody would ever normally care about is the depth of the top edge of your screen as it wraps around the back, because our design, you know, grips on the top of the screen. If you have a typically older screen, some of the thickness of the screens are, you know, we used to have CRTs that, you know, were 20 inches deep, right? Yeah. So as we've gone to LEDs, they shrink. But if it's thick enough that we can't actually grip on it, then our design, that, you know, our normal design doesn't work. We have alternatives for that, but nobody knows. You don't think of that. Most people don't even know what the size is of the monitor in general. So right. Then you have to get a tape measure out and measure if it's a model that we've never heard of, and manufacturers almost never put that measure anywhere. So unless you've seen it and you've measured it yourself, right, you have absolutely no idea. It's really frustrating when I'm trying to give people the best advice on what to get. And I don't want to have to say, why don't you just get a new monitor? Because that's not a fair thing.
I just got this this is probably 31.5 or 32. I mean, it's a Samsung, and it's glorious. I went from I had the old Mac 27-inch Thunderbolt from 2016, and that, of course, that base is really thick. So I wouldn't know if this bracket would even be pretty tight to get it to hang on that monitor because of its thickness. I mean, just like the old iMacs. I mean, there's those thick size. Are there people still wanting this for the older iMacs and the older Mac displays like that? Because there are still some out there that are the thick size. Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the things I've always liked about Apple products is they typically last a very, very long time. Yeah. I was talking to a client this morning who has a 2010 iMac, and that's a pretty thick case. Yes. So for that one, it doesn't quite fit for her. Of course, she's wanted to replace it for quite a while. It's a good excuse, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I typically, you know, you could spend money on whatever you want, right? As soon as you start headed down the path of, I want a better camera. Oh, now I want better lights. And, now I need a better microphone. And it's an endless, you know, cycle I don't know if it's virtuous or not, but it's a cycle. You know, what I typically recommend to people is if budget is an issue, get the smartphone holder, get a Plexicam Pro, use your iPhone, because it's going to be the best camera you have until you get a really great camera. Right. And you know, it's and then the next thing I would personally invest in, get a bigger screen. Whatever you have is probably not big enough, because that extra space just opens up so much possibility. So that's, you know. So are you seeing more people using their iPhones as cameras with your product? Are you getting more orders for the bracket and the iPhone setup? Or is it's kind of flatline?
Yeah, I don't know. It's I'd say it sort of comes in waves, because a lot of our sales are driven by word of mouth. You know, people are usually thrilled to find us, and then they try to find anything else that's even remotely like us, and there doesn't seem to be anything, which is a mixed blessing. You know, competition is good. Yeah. You know, and something that uses our sort of approach versus a tripod, because it can be a little confusing to try to compare the two when they don't appear to be the same in any way.
Like my analogy, I had tripods, I've had cameras everywhere. I'm glad I'm glad it's off my desk.
yeah, I have a huge pile of stuff that's in the other
under my feet here. To place stuff I've already set aside. So, but it's good to know, because my listeners and viewers are like using them with their iPhones, and iPhone is a good choice. I mean, if you're not one like me, because I'm always talking about my iPhone on this show, I gotta have I have to have it in my hand all the time. It would be hard for me. It's like, wait, I gotta show you. Oh, I can't do that. It's my camera. so it would make it a little tougher to do that. So, but no, it seems like a great. I mean, you guys have a great product. Well, I want to ask you a little bit about video presenting. Do you think your product has really helped people do a better job of being a video presenter? Because like I said, we all have sat through all these Zoom calls all the time, and people are just. It's funny just to start in Teams calls. I work in IT for a company too, so so you got Teams and you have Zoom, and it's just funny to see people how they're looking around. And especially when they're presenting. Have you heard some? I mean, looking on your site, you see you have a lot of professionals that are been using this. And do you think there's some good tips how to do a better job with using the Plexicam and being a better presenter?
Yeah. I mean, so it was. So Tom is a professional keynote speaker, and he's made a very comfortable living for most of the last 20 years from keynote speeches. He's on a flight back from Nashville tonight. And it's funny because what I think is interesting. We both know a ton of professional speakers. Like, we know some people who are fans of Plexicam too, who have won awards, as the best speaker at the National Speakers Association. Nice. There's only one a year. So, we have several of those who are clients of ours and who love it. Anybody can learn to look at the camera, but that's only part of it. If you need to look at your notes, if you want to watch the reaction, because if you're on a stage, you can't see everybody, usually because the lights are blinding you. But, you can at least see some people that are closer to the stage and get a sense, are they awake? Are they alive?
Yeah, exactly.
But with Zoom, you don't necessarily have it, especially if you have to look at the camera, and it's, the built-in cameras on laptops and iMacs, they're just in the wrong place. They're also terrible. But it's in the wrong place. So you need a better camera, and then you need to put it in a place where it's actually convenient for you, so that your audience gets the benefit of it appearing that you care about them, and you get the benefit of being able to see that you're making a connection. So one way or another, and it doesn't matter to me, of course, I would love to sell as many Plexicams as humanly possible.
Absolutely.
But, one way or another, if you want to make a connection with your audience in the way that you can't use your traditional tricks if you were in person, like you can't walk up and, I used to jump off the stage and walk around in the crowd, which I'm not sure I would do these days due to COVID, but, you can't do that in a virtual setting. And you really need to try some different ways, which is mostly skills that none of us had until we had to in the last year and a half. So I think Plexicam definitely makes it easier. We have some speakers like David Meerman Scott, pretty famous as a marketing guy. He has like a $20,000 studio at home, but when he's doing, he's on a lot of board meetings and he's on other meetings, and he doesn't necessarily want to be plastered with a ton of light and stuck in the room that he has that's all oriented towards the pro level stuff. He takes his Plexicam and he takes his laptop and he goes into a different room and he does what he needs to do, and he moves the Plexicam out of the way when he's done. And he goes on about his life, but he can still have good eye contact because he knows that that's important. And he can, if you're a board member and there's something controversial that's come up, or, disciplinary action or something that needs to be tweaked on the pitch to raise money or whatever, you need to be able to look at the other people who are on your board or the people who are running the company and get a sense from their body language what's what. So it's, we hear, generally people, once they see it, like the TikTok video, I've talked to as many of those people as possible. I said, were you following that woman in the first place? No. Okay. Had you been looking for tripods or anything like that? No. So I don't know what the algorithm that tripped all this stuff for in TikTok, but I love it.
Yeah. Oh, TikTok is
people
nuts.
are like, oh my God, I can't believe I wish I knew about this 6 months ago.
Yeah,
Me too.
Yeah, TikTok is absolutely crazy. So, but no, like on your website, when you come to site, I love your animation you got showing how the camera can move, slide up and down, and it's good. One thing I'll mention. You do warn people that you got to be real careful when you're sliding it with the shelf, because I already could see that I started scratching the Plexicam a little bit, not really bad, but I know that's probably one thing. I'm sure you're getting customers that are probably making any mentions that, oh, this is all scratched already, but you kind of have to expect that with we got two pieces of plastic rubbing against each other, and if you're moving it after time. Yeah,
there is you can sort of polish it. So actually, when we're so for Tom and I, we're not typically packaging any product anymore because we have a fulfillment center. Yeah. Which I can't say that I miss.
It was a good box. It was a nice box I got, so just
thank you. Yeah. So whether it's us or
and the pouch too, I got the pouch.
Yeah. We're doing what we can. It's funny. It's hard to brand a transparent product.
Yeah, there you go. There's the pouch with your name. But you guys have amazing customer service, because I mean you guys are very responsive, and I appreciate you responded to me right away when I had an issue, and you took care of it, and that you don't see a lot of that. I worked in retail for many years, and I know how it is with customer service and how to take care of your customers, and you guys do a really great job of staying on top of that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean we're both believers in word of mouth marketing. I've been following Guy Kawasaki forever and his whole evangelist and community approach, which I've always been a big believer in, and I've done in other situations. But this is the first physical product company that I've ever had.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting times if you're starting up a company during a global pandemic that you have to get sourced from one place and ship who knows where. We had a customer we're shipping to in Bahrain that I don't even know. I can't even tell if the address is correct in any way because it doesn't follow any standards that I know. So when something like that comes up, then our fulfillment center flags it. Can you verify that this is actually going to get anywhere? Yeah. It's very interesting to have this company at this time. I mean, the timing is great because it's such a huge need.
Oh, right now for sure. Yeah, so many people.
Man, it's such a strange ride.
Oh, I bet. I even like you guys had a little flash up that tells us where the last person, where they're from, who purchased something. Because I just noticed I'm in Chicago area. I saw somebody from Chicago area just bought something as we were recording this. So that was kind of cool.
It's all over the world.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I wanted to get you on and then find out more about it and tell everybody about it as well, and I can give you a testimonial that I'm very happy with the product, and I think everybody else will too. I've even suggested, my full-time job I work in IT for an insurance company, and my boss and a lot of others or when I talked about it last week, I said, I'm going to be talking to the co-founder, and they were really interested, and the website really, like I said, that brought them right to it, and it's like, oh, this is really cool. And because people first think, as soon as you say, oh, well, you're hooking this on your monitor, that doesn't make sense. You don't want it in front of your screen, and then sure enough, they see what it is, and I can definitely tell them that. So, it's great, and I see. I see you also have teachers, educators. My wife's a teacher. They're doing a lot of Zoom calls as of late. Do you get a lot of education interest as well, or?
Yeah, it's all over. It's funny because once it's usually somebody mentions it to somebody else. Like they'll be on a call, a Zoom call, or a Google Meet, or Teams, or whatever. Yep. Maybe a live stream of some kind. And they'll like, why is it that you're the only person? It appears like you're looking at us. And then and then they get all excited and they I forgot that not everybody knows about this. It's called a Plexicam. Next thing you know, there's a whole burst of activity on our site, and it really is spread around in different circles. That way, we haven't targeted education necessarily. We haven't targeted telehealth. So pro speakers is where we targeted initially because we know a lot of people in that space.
Podcasters,
and then it's just kind of spread.
And you got podcasters interested as well. So being one of them. And my And our friend Chuck Joyner, he uses it as well as you were on his show as well. So and that's how we found about each other here. So no, this is great. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. And why don't you let everybody know where to go and about what the starting pricing is with the Plexicam, and then we'll definitely send them off to your site.
Great. Yeah. So plexicam.com. So plexicam.com. And the Plexicam Mini, again, for laptops typically, that starts at $45. And then there's a range of, you can add on extra shells, you can buy extensions, you can buy the Wave shelf kit. The high end is the Plexicam Max, which I believe is $135.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah. Well, thanks. I really appreciate you being here, Dan. And we'll go ahead and wrap things up here.
All right.
That's a wrap. Please send your comments, questions, suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can visit our YouTube page, youtube.com/DaveG65. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcaster, which includes Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.